Hello, this is Todd Luck, and this is an overview and review of the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe novels, specifically the ones that have come out in the last 3 years that have been part of the Swords of Eternity super arc. I've already done individual reviews of each of the novels that you're about to see, but I figure not everyone's going to want to sit through all of that, so this is going to be a single video that will give you an overview of all of it with some quick takes on each of the novels. So Edgar Rice Burroughs is, of course, the creator of Tarzan and John Carter and many other characters, and he wrote a lot of novels with all of them. But he passed away in 1950, and so these new novels tell new adventures with his characters and expand his world and follow up on his original works. And so these are considered canon to the original Burroughs novels. And they even introduce new characters and new elements into the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe, like Victory Harbin here. And these books are available in softcover, hardcover, Kindle, audiobook, Gridley Wave. However you consume novels, you can get them that way. And they're available from wherever you buy new books from. However, if you go to edgarriceburroughs.com and get them from the online shop there, you can get free trading cards, so that's pretty cool. The Swords of Eternity arc runs through 4 novels that each have bonus novelettes in the back. And so it begins with Carson of Venus, The Edge of All Worlds. And in the back you have a bonus novelette with Victory Harbin in Pellucidar at the Earth's core. And this begins her subplot. And then you have Tarzan, Battle for Pellucidar. And in the back of that you have Victory Harbin in the Land That Time Forgot. And then there's John Carter of Mars, Gods of the Forgotten. And in the back of that, you have Victory Harbin in The World of the Moon Maid. And lastly, you have Victory Harbin, Fires of Halos. And in the back of that, you have a story set in the same solar system as Beyond the Furthest Star with a new character named Tila. So each of these novels is self-contained, but it is tied together by a subplot involving Victory Harbin and Jason Gridley, who are adventurers slash scientists who get pulled into a portal and they're teleported between different worlds. And each novel does follow up on stuff in the original Burroughs novels, but is also completely self-contained and does a great job of explaining who the characters are and what their world is. So for new readers, these novels are a great jumping on point. Within 4 novels, you will know pretty much everything you need to know to get the basics of the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe. It's a great way to orient yourself to all these different characters and the worlds they inhabit. For old readers, these are the next great adventures for all of these characters that you love. Now, if you're only interested in the original Burroughs novels, Edgar Rice Burroughs Inc. is also reprinting every single one of them with brand new Joe Jusko covers and extras in the back. They're starting with Tarzan, and they'll be moving on to Mars in the next couple years, and then eventually all 80 of them. But of course, Burroughs' novels are widely available outside of these new editions for the Edgar Rice Burroughs Authorized Library, but you don't have to have read the original novels to enjoy these new ones. And I know there's a lot of people who are like, hey, I'm going to read all the Burroughs stuff before I read these new novels. But you don't have to, right? We don't do this with other things. Like, for instance, this is the Fantastic Four #1 that came out last month. This is written by Ryan North, and there's 693 issues of Fantastic Four that were published before this issue. I don't have any urge to read all of them before I pick this up. I just picked this up and I enjoyed it. There's no reason I can't read the old Fantastic Four issues and the new ones at the same time. In fact, I would say my enjoyment of the old novels has actually been enhanced by reading the new ones, because it fills in gaps, it lets you know what happens to certain characters from those old novels, and I think it's just a really cool way to experience the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe, to experience both the old and the new at the same time. And yes, there are reveals and follow-ups to things in the old novels, in these new ones. However, there is nothing that changes the old novels. This is not a reimagining. This is not novels that say everything you knew in the past was wrong or anything like that. It's just filling in some logical gaps that were left in those original stories, those open mysteries, that Burroughs had are sometimes followed up on in these new novels, and the characters that are introduced are done so within the framework that Burroughs established in his original stories. There is no point at which we forget that Edgar Rice Burroughs is the reason for these novels existing. All right, so all the backup novelettes are fantastic, but I'm just going to give you my quick takes on the main novels, and that's going to start with Carson of Venus, The Edge of All Worlds. So this has Carson Napier and his friends saving Venus from invasion by a brand new alien race that's trying to take it over, and they have a personal vendetta against Carson of Venus. And so this is a great jumping on point for new readers, because this is kind of a best of Carson of Venus type of adventure. We see a lot of favorite alien races that we saw in previous novels, and having not actually read the old novels and only read the comic books, I thought this was a great orientation to the character and made me appreciate him on a whole new level, and I absolutely look forward to reading those old Burroughs novels at some point. Next up, Tarzan Battle for Pellucidar. So this is Tarzan fighting Nazis and Mahars at the Earth's core, and it is as awesome as it sounds like, but to me, the highlight of the novel is the introduction of his badass granddaughter, Suzanne, who is an awesome new character, absolutely badass. And as you can tell, there's a little bit of pterodactyl riding in here. It's just some really, really cool stuff. You know, Tarzan going medieval on some bad guys in a prehistoric land at the Earth's core. One thing to note is that this book does have a lot of Easter eggs in it. I don't think new readers need to get them in order to appreciate what's going on. But if you would like to get those Easter eggs and aren't as familiar with Burroughs, EdgarRiceBurroughs.com has a fantastic online comic strip subscription that you can get, and it'll adapt pretty much all the novels that are referenced in any of these new books. Or if you want to, you can watch my Easter egg guide after you read this novel. All right, John Carter of Mars, Gods of the Forgotten. This is my favorite novel out of all of these. This is the John Carter novel I never knew I needed. This connected me to John Carter in a way I never dreamed possible. This deals with him as a warlord, as a politician, as a family man, as a father, as a guy who just wants to go take a day trip with his dog. I mean, it is freaking awesome. But of course, it also has all that action you're expecting, the sword fights, the monsters. It's got the suspense, it's got horror in it. There's just so much in this one novel. If I told you what it was about, it would spoil things. But let's just say he does eventually meet the mysterious villains of the novel, and there are a lot of reveals about things that happened in the previous novels, but they're small mysteries, things that Burroughs just kind of left open-ended, things that probably you've forgotten about or maybe you never even noticed. There's a reason why it's called Gods of the Forgotten. All right, finally, Victory Harbin, Fires of Halos, the final novel in the plot line. And so this tells Victory Harbin's story from beginning to end, and this is just filled with new stuff. Obviously, we have a new character with Victory Harbin and her wonderful animal companion, Hucklebuck, but we are also introduced to planets in the Omo system from Burroughs' Beyond the Furthest Star that we never got to see in that original novel. And we also get to go to the planet of Halos, which is from an unpublished Burroughs fragment called The Ghostly Script. And so that is actually followed up on in this novel as well. And there's also a lot of revelations in here about, for instance, how did Tangor get to the Omo system in Beyond the Furthest Star? Why are there fantastic places in the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe? Things like that. And so there's a lot of different kinds of storytelling in this novel. And so it very much varies in feel from chapter to chapter sometimes. And so I think, you know, some things are probably not going to appeal to every single reader, right? There's just a wide variety of things. But I think everybody is going to find something that they love in this novel. And I think a lot of people are going to find a lot of things that they really like in Victory Harbin. And it also contains my absolute favorite novelette out of the four, Beyond the Furthest Star, Rescuing Xandar, which follows a new character named Tila, who's a native of Xandar, who goes on an adventure, and we explore her background and who she is and the world around her, and introduce all kinds of really cool monsters. And it's just 100% proof Burroughs. And by the way, the ending of the novelette and novel in Victory Harbin both lead into Beyond the Furthest Star, Warriors of Xandar, which is a 4-issue miniseries that was published by American Mythology. And believe me, after you finish that book, you will definitely want to pick this up. But after you finish all that, you may be like, hey, what happened to Jason Gridley? And so for that, there is one more novelette you might want to pick up. And that's going to be in the back of a book called Red Axe of Pellucidar. And so the novelette is called Jason Gridley of Earth, Across the Moons of Mars. And it's written by Gary Grable, who also wrote John Carter, Gods of the Forgotten. And it is very, very good stuff. I highly, highly recommend it. Even just reading it on its own is still a fantastic story. And you may be like, well, do I really want to buy an entire novel just for a novelette in the back, even though it is a very thick novelette? Actually, I have also done a review of Red Axe of Pellucidar, and I did really enjoy the novel as well. This is written by John Eric Holmes, and this is a reprinting of an older story. This is actually the first time that this has actually had an official printing, and I really enjoyed it. It was a story of a guy with a fire axe who teleports down to the Earth's core to save a chick, and Red Axe of Pellucidar is kind of his further adventures in the Earth's core. If you're interested, there's one more book in the Red Axe series, and that's Mayhars of Pellucidar, which gives Red Axe's origin. And this actually ties in too, because in Tarzan Battle for Pellucidar, this is actually mentioned in one of the annotations in the book. And also mentioned are events from Tarzan and the Land at Time Forgot by Joe R. Lansdale. And that's actually reprinted here as a novelette, and I really enjoyed that. Mayhars of Pellucidar I found to be more okay, but I think it was still an interesting story that came from a good place of a fan who just was trying to do more Pellucidar stories. But let's say you want a story that's not tied into anything at all, a completely self-contained Tarzan story. Well, they got you covered on that one too. This is Tarzan and the Forest of Stone. This is set right after Burroughs' novel Tarzan and the Lion Man, but you don't have to have read that. It's basically Tarzan's leaving Hollywood, gets on a train. That train gets attacked by some folks dressed as cowboys, and they kidnap a girl, and so Tarzan follows them into the desert. And so it has kind of a real crime noir sort of vibe. It reminded me of Sin City. I enjoyed it. It's very short type of novel. It's very concise. So if you're looking for a good Tarzan story that's not going to take up a lot of your time, this is a good book to pick up. And so that's all of the novels. And so no matter how you're familiar with these characters, whether it's from comics or movies or TV or previous books, I think you're going to really enjoy these novels. And I think they're worth picking up even if you don't normally read novels. I'm certainly like that. I actually have a hard time reading dense text. Other than some of the Burroughs novels, I just don't really read novels. And these were just infinitely worth it. And I'm really very grateful for Edgar Rice Burroughs Inc. for sending them to me and kind of sharing with me the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe. And so the novels will continue. They've already announced that in 2023 we'll be getting Korak at the Earth's Core, which will begin a trilogy of novels with Tarzan's family in Pellucidar. And there's also going to be a Princess of Mars novel. And so those are something that we can certainly look forward to. And so I'll keep you guys updated on that. And I got plenty more reviews and other videos about Tarzan and Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff coming. So like and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, see ya.